The Bering Sea holds a treasure, hidden beneath a relentless expanse of ice and water. Here, the world is ruled by the elements, wind that howls across the open water, waves that rise like mountains, and a cold so deep it seems to seep into the very bones of the earth itself. The environment is unforgiving. The sea churns with icy currents, and the sky is often a heavy, grey shroud. The silence is broken only by the groan of shifting ice and the crash of waves against steel hulls. The tools of the trade are as rugged as the sea itself. Steel crab pots, each weighing hundreds of pounds, are designed to withstand the punishing conditions. Ropes, winches, and pulleys, every piece of equipment is built for endurance, yet always at the mercy of the elements. The process is a dance of machinery and nature. Pots are dropped into the depths, vanishing into the black water below, where the snow crab dwell in the cold, dark silence. Down below, the world is alien, silent, frigid, and teeming with life adapted to the harshest conditions. The pots wait, silent sentinels, as the sea's bounty creeps inside. Above the retrieval is a battle against the elements. The winch groans, cables snap taut, and the deck becomes a stage for the raw power of machinery and sea. The dangers are everywhere. The weather can turn in an instant, calm seas giving way to violent storms, blinding snow, and waves that threaten to swallow everything in their path. Even the equipment itself is a hazard. A swinging pot, a snapped cable, or a frozen deck can spell disaster in a heartbeat. Below deck, the heartbeat of the vessel is constant. Engines thrum, electronics blink, and the ship's systems work tirelessly to keep the vessel afloat and on course through the chaos above. Navigation is a challenge. Icebergs drift, fog rolls in, and the sea is always shifting, always unpredictable. Every journey is a test of preparation and resilience. The cycle never ends. Day blurs into night, and the cold deepens, encasing everything in a shell of ice. Comfort is fleeting, warmth is a rare luxury, and rest is measured in stolen moments between the demands of the sea. The toll is visible everywhere, on the battered gear, the worn ropes, and the scars left by countless battles with the elements. The sea is a relentless adversary. It tests every piece of equipment, every inch of steel, and every plan made on shore. This is the world of Alaskan snow crab fishing, a place where the environment, the equipment, and the ever-present dangers shape every moment. It is a realm of ice and steel, of silence and storm, where survival is never guaranteed and the sea always has the final word. In the far reaches of the Alaskan frontier, the Bering Sea reigns as a force of pure, untamed power. Here, nature is the only adversary, an adversary that never sleeps, never relents, and never shows mercy. The sea itself is a living, breathing entity, its surface ever shifting, its moods unpredictable. One moment, the horizon stretches calm and endless, a mirror of icy blue. The next, the sky darkens with a sudden, ominous fury, and the ocean transforms into a churning cauldron of chaos. Storms are born in the blink of an eye, winds gather strength with a primal howl, lashing the waves into monstrous forms. Hurricane-force gusts, sometimes exceeding 56 miles per hour, sweep across the open water, flattening the crests and sending spray flying like shards of glass. Waves rise from the depths, growing with each passing second, until they tower over 30 feet high. Walls of water that crash and break with the sound of thunder, shaking the very air. The sea heaves and rolls, tossing anything upon it as if it were weightless. In the heart of a bomb cyclone, the pressure plummets. The wind screams, a banshee's wail echoing across the endless expanse. Visibility vanishes, swallowed by fog and driving rain, until the world is reduced to a blur of grey and white, the horizon lost in the storm's embrace. The cold is a silent predator, lurking even after the winds die down. Ice forms in thick, jagged layers, encasing every surface in a crystalline shell. The temperature hovers just below freezing, the water a deadly 28 degrees Fahrenheit, a realm where life is measured in minutes. The sea's chill seeps into everything, turning steel brittle and making the air itself bite. Any object that touches the water is instantly numbed, coated in frost, and threatened by the creeping advance of hypothermia. The ocean is a thief as well as a destroyer. In the chaos of a storm, precious gear is wrenched away, crab pots and equipment torn from their moorings and cast adrift into the blackness. The value of what is lost is measured not just in dollars, but in the relentless struggle against the elements. At night, the darkness is absolute. Searchlights cut through the gloom, illuminating only the nearest waves, while the rest of the world is swallowed by the storm. The sea is indifferent to loss, indifferent to hope, and indifferent to the desperate search for what has been claimed by its depths. Nature here is not just a backdrop, but the ultimate adversary, an ever-present, ever-changing force that tests the limits of endurance and will. In the Bering Sea, survival is not granted. It is earned moment by moment in a world where the only certainty is the power of the wild. The machinery aboard an Alaskan crab boat is a world of relentless power and silent menace. Every bolt, cable and gear is engineered for brute strength, designed to conquer the crushing depths and the weight of the sea's bounty. But in the Arctic's merciless cold, these mechanical titans become unpredictable adversaries. The winch, a hulking mass of steel and gears, is the lifeline between the ocean floor and the deck above. Its thick cable, wound tight and slick with ice, can freeze solid in a matter of minutes. When the temperature plummets, the cable becomes a rigid, brittle serpent, ready to snap or seize without warning. The winch's drum groans under the strain, metal shrieking as it hauls thousands of pounds through a gauntlet of frost and salt. Hydraulic cranes, their pistons and hoses pulsing with pressurized fluid, are the arms that lift the ocean's weight. But the cold seeps into every joint and seal, thickening oil and turning flexible hoses into fragile glass. A single crack, a burst of frozen hydraulic fluid, and the crane's strength becomes a wild, uncontrollable force, swinging tons of steel and crab with no warning. The sorting table, a simple slab of metal, transforms into a treacherous sheet of ice. Every hinge and latch stiffens, every surface slickens, and the machinery that should sort and separate becomes a gauntlet of sharp edges and crushing weight. Doors and hatches meant to protect the vessel's heart freeze shut or slam open with the ship's rolling motion. The constant vibration and shudder of the hull turn every latch into a potential trap, every hatch into a steel-jawed hazard. The ship itself is never still. It pitches and rolls, sending loose equipment sliding across the deck, slamming into bulkheads and threatening to jam delicate mechanisms. The relentless motion conspires with the cold, amplifying every flaw and weakness in the machinery. The engine room is a cathedral of noise and heat, but even here, the cold finds its way in. The main engine, a roaring beast of pistons and fire, is the vessel's only hope against the sea. When it falters, when a bearing seizes, a fuel line freezes, or a pump fails, the entire ship is left powerless, adrift in a world of ice and wind. In the heart of a snowstorm, with winds howling at 44 miles per hour, the engine's sudden silence is a death knell. The ship drifts, helpless, toward unseen reefs, every second bringing disaster closer. The controls on the bridge flicker and die. The hull groans as it's battered by waves, and the machinery below decks shudders in protest. Frost creeps across every surface, turning metal brittle and glassy. Hydraulic lines burst with a sharp, echoing crack, spraying frozen fluid across the engine room. Pumps seize, gears grind, and the simplest repair becomes a battle against numb fingers and unyielding steel. Maintenance is a war waged in the worst conditions imaginable. Tools slip from frozen hands, bolts refuse to turn, and every fix is a race against the encroaching cold. The machinery resists every effort, fighting back with rust, ice, and the grinding pressure of the sea. The ship is a complex, interlocked system, where a single failure can cascade through every deck and compartment. A jammed winch can cripple the entire operation. A burst hydraulic line can render the cranes useless. A silent engine can spell doom for the vessel and everything aboard. In this frozen world, the machinery is both savior and executioner. It is a constant, grinding battle against mechanical entropy, a struggle where the only certainty is that the equipment will fail, and when it does, the consequences are as unforgiving as the sea itself. On the icy decks of an Alaskan crab boat, the launching and retrieval of crab pots is a ballet of steel and force. Each pot, a hulking cage of welded metal, weighs in at over 1,000 pounds, even before it's filled with the ocean's bounty. Suspended by thick hydraulic cables, the pot dangles above the deck, its mass controlled only by the precision of the crane and the tension in the steel lines. The mechanics are unforgiving. A single miscalculation in the crane's movement, and the pot can become a runaway pendulum, swinging with the full force of its weight. In calm weather, the pot glides smoothly, guided by the steady hum of hydraulics. But when the Arctic wind howls or a rogue wave slams the hull, the pot transforms. It arcs through the air, its trajectory unpredictable, the steel frame slicing through the mist and spray with lethal momentum. The deck becomes a gauntlet. The pot, now a half-ton wrecking ball, can slam into anything in its path, rails, winches, or other gear, crushing and mangling with a single blow. The steel cables groan under the shifting load, every jolt testing the limits of metal and machinery. The deck itself is slick with ice, the surface treacherous. As the pot swings, its shadow sweeps across the frozen planks, a silent warning of the danger overhead. The ship pitches and rolls, amplifying the pendulum effect, and the pot's arc grows wider, more violent. Sometimes the peril comes not from the swing, but from the sheer weight. When a pot is loaded to the brim, the strain on the crane and vessel multiplies. The boat lists sharply, the deck tilting at a precarious angle as the pot is hoisted from the sea, threatening to unbalance the entire ship. The sudden shift can send a cascade of crabs and seawater across the deck, turning the surface into a chaotic, slippery mess. The pot, now resting, still radiates danger, its weight pressing into the ice, the steel frame creaking as it settles. Sometimes only a safety rope stands between disaster and survival. A swinging pot, caught at the last possible moment, can mean the difference between a routine catch and catastrophic loss, of gear, of the vessel, or of the fragile balance that keeps the operation afloat. In the world of Alaskan crab fishing, the line between prosperity and disaster is razor-thin. The peril of swinging gear is ever present, a silent threat that lurks in every gust of wind, every surge of the sea, and every creak of steel on ice. Out here, in the heart of the Bering Sea, the world can vanish in an instant. The ship becomes an island of steel, adrift in a void where the senses are stripped away, one by one. A white-out storm is not merely a curtain of snow, it is a total erasure of the horizon, a relentless assault of wind and ice that blurs the line between sea and sky until there is nothing left but a blinding, featureless expanse. The snow and sea spray merge, swirling in chaotic patterns against the hull and windows, building a wall of white so dense that even the memory of the world outside seems to fade. Within the wheelhouse, the view is reduced to a blank canvas. The portholes, once a gateway to the vast ocean, now reveal only a formless, shifting whiteness. The ship presses forward, its path swallowed by the storm. In these moments, navigation becomes an act of faith. The instruments, compass, GPS, radar, are the only threads connecting the vessel to reality, but even these can falter. The radar, the ship's electronic eyes, flickers and fails, its screen awash in static and ghostly echoes. The digital map becomes a puzzle of uncertainty, each blip and shadow a possible threat lurking in the unseen. For hours, the ship drifts as a phantom, cut off from the world, its hull groaning under the weight of the storm. The deck lights flicker in the swirling snow, casting eerie halos that vanish into the void. Every sound is magnified, the howl of the wind, the crash of waves against steel, the deep, resonant creaks of the hull flexing under pressure. Each vibration is a warning, each shudder a reminder of the sea's power. The anchor, usually a symbol of safety, becomes a tenuous lifeline. Its chain strains against the seabed, the cable fraying under the relentless pull of wind and current. The storm tests every link, threatening to snap the connection and set the ship adrift. With no horizon to guide by, the vessel is forced to rely on memory and instinct, tracing invisible paths through the storm. The deck, slick with ice and battered by waves, offers no comfort, only the cold certainty that the sea is always waiting. Disorientation is constant. The ship's movement is unpredictable, each lurch and roll a potential prelude to disaster. The absence of visual reference turns every maneuver into a gamble, every decision into a leap of faith. The psychological weight of the unseen is immense. The storm presses in from all sides, isolating the vessel in a cocoon of noise and white. The world shrinks to the dimensions of steel and glass, and time stretches, measured only by the rhythm of the waves and the groan of the hull. Even as the anchor cable strains and the radar remains blind, the ship endures. It is a test of engineering, of technology, and of the unyielding will to survive against forces that cannot be seen, only felt. And then, at last, the storm begins to break. The snow thins, the wind eases, and the first hint of sunlight pierces the clouds. The horizon reappears, distant and fragile, and the world slowly returns to view. In the aftermath, the ship stands as a testament to resilience. A solitary figure on a calm sea, the memory of the unseen dangers lingering in every creak of the hull and every glint of light on the water. In the heart of the Bering Sea, the cold is a living force, and the ocean's breath is a weapon. Here water is not content to remain liquid. Each wave that surges over the bow brings with it a silent, invisible threat, spray that clings to every surface, seeking out the coldest metal and the most exposed corners of the vessel. The transformation is relentless. Droplets of seawater flung by the wind land on the deck, the rigging, and the superstructure. In the sub-zero air they freeze in an instant, forming a thin glassy veneer. But this is only the beginning. Layer by layer the ice thickens. What starts as a delicate frost soon becomes a heavy shroud, encasing railings, masts, and every inch of exposed steel. The deck, once textured and sure, grows slick and treacherous, a silent trap beneath a crystalline shell. The accumulation is insidious. Inch by inch the weight mounts, pressing down on the vessel with a force that is both invisible and immense. A few inches of ice, spread across the ship, can add many tons to its burden, weight that the hull was never meant to bear. The danger is not just in the mass, but in its placement. Ice clings to the highest points, the masts, the crane, the stacked crab pots. With every new layer, the ship's center of gravity creeps upward, making the vessel top-heavy and unstable. The sea, never still, tests this imbalance. As the boat rocks and rolls, the ice-laden superstructure sways, amplifying each motion. What was once a stable platform becomes a precarious perch, vulnerable to the next rogue wave or sudden gust. The threat grows with every passing hour. The ice does not announce itself with a roar or a crash. It creeps silent and patient until the vessel lists under its own unnatural weight, teetering on the edge of disaster. The only defense is removal, a battle waged not with machines, but with brute force. The ice must be shattered, broken, and cast back into the sea. Each blow against the frozen armor is a struggle against exhaustion, cold, and the relentless advance of winter. The process is grueling. The deck, now a battlefield, is littered with shards of ice, each one a fragment of the threat that once clung to the ship. The air is filled with the sound of cracking and splintering, the echo of resistance against the cold's encroachment. Yet the ice returns. After every victory, the sea sends another wave, another spray, another chance for the cold to reclaim its hold. The cycle is endless, a war of attrition between steel and winter, between vessel and the elements. In the Bering Sea, the treachery of deck ice is a constant, creeping adversary. It is a force that shapes every journey, a reminder that in these waters, even the air itself can conspire to bring a ship to its knees. The three most chilling words echoing through the steel corridors of a crab boat are, "Man overboard!" But in the heart of the Bering Sea, it is the environment itself that becomes the true adversary, a relentless, icy force that tests every inch of the vessel and every piece of equipment to its limits. The ultimate emergency is not just a test of human resolve, but a race against the elements, a sudden, heart-stopping crisis where the only hope lies in the readiness of the ship and its gear. On these decks, the risk is ever present. The surface is a treacherous patchwork of black ice and frost, every step a gamble against the cold. A hidden patch of ice, a sudden lurch from a rogue wave, or a moment's slip near the edge. These are the silent threats that haunt the vessel. 1 second, the deck is beneath you. The next, the only thing between you and the 28-degree water is a thin ring of orange foam and the hope of rescue. The shock of the water is instantaneous, a paralyzing cold that seeps into every crevice, stealing warmth and breath alike. Survival depends on the speed and precision of the rescue equipment. The lifelines, the rings, the lights that cut through the darkness. The vessel is drilled for this moment, every tool in its place, every protocol rehearsed. But the true test comes when the alarm blares and the clock starts ticking. When the emergency strikes, the equipment springs into action. Lines fly, rings splash, and the search begins in the vast, indifferent sea. The life ring is hurled, the vessel pivots, and the rescue line stretches out, a fragile link between safety and the abyss. In the vast, churning sea, the life-saving gear is a small, bright hope against the darkness. Every second counts. Each moment in the frigid water slashes the odds of survival, the cold gnawing at every exposed surface. In a documented rescue, the equipment performed flawlessly, retrieving the life ring in just 14 seconds, a testament to preparation and precision. It was a remarkably swift operation, a victory for readiness and the reliability of the tools at hand. Yet, for the equipment braving the elements, those 14 seconds are an eternity. Each tick of the clock a battle against the cold. The cold sears metal and rope alike, numbing and stiffening every tool almost instantly. Had the rescue taken a minute or two longer, the outcome could have been tragically different. The cold, relentless and unforgiving, claiming its due. The difference between a rescue and a recovery is measured in seconds and the reliability of the equipment. Sometimes, even the best tools are not enough. Many times, the sea claims what it wants, leaving only silent reminders on the deck. This is the razor-thin line between life and loss, drawn by the tools and the environment itself. The difference between a successful rescue and a tragic recovery can be a matter of seconds, a single heartbeat in the cold. It underscores the importance of every safety protocol, every piece of gear, and the constant vigilance of the vessel itself. Every system on board stands watch, a silent guardian against the ever-present threat of the deep. The fear of the frigid deep is a constant, unspoken presence, woven into every bolt and beam. The sea is always waiting, patient and cold, and it only takes one small failure, one moment of bad luck, for the frigid deep to claim its prize. This is the most personal and terrifying danger faced not by the crew, but by the very ship and its tools, locked in a never-ending race against the frigid deep. While the dangers of snow crab fishing remain as raw and real as ever, modern technology has provided a crucial, if not complete, buffer against the sea's wrath. Today's vessels are equipped with an array of sophisticated electronics that would have seemed like science fiction to fishermen of generations past. captains now navigate with the help of storm-penetrating radar systems. These powerful tools can see through the thickest snow and fog, painting a clear picture of nearby vessels, coastlines, and dangerous ice flows. This technology helps prevent collisions and allows for better route planning through treacherous weather. On deck, technology also plays a vital role in mitigating risk. Automatic cage locators or pot trackers use GPS to pinpoint the exact location of each string of crab pots. This drastically reduces the need for dangerous searches in rough seas, like the one where a crew had to chase down $700,000 worth of lost gear. If a storm is brewing, the captain can mark the gear's location and retrieve it when conditions improve, saving time, fuel, and reducing the crew's exposure to hazardous conditions. It turns a desperate gamble into a calculated, strategic decision. Personal safety equipment has also seen significant advancements. Many crew members now wear life jackets or survival suits equipped with personal locator beacons and water-activated sensors. If a crew member falls overboard, the sensor can automatically trigger an alarm on the bridge and transmit a GPS signal. This technology transforms a search and rescue operation from a search for a needle in a haystack into a precise mission to a specific coordinate. It is a modern miracle that has undoubtedly saved lives, turning potential tragedies into successful rescues, like the 14-second recovery. Once the dangerous work of catching the crab is done, technology continues to play a crucial part. Onboard processing facilities are highly efficient. The crabs are quickly cleaned, boiled, sorted by size, and then flash frozen in specialized chambers. This rapid freezing process preserves the crab's delicate flavor and texture, ensuring that it arrives in peak condition at luxury markets thousands of miles away. From the wheelhouse to the cargo hold, technology is an indispensable partner in the modern crab industry, helping to make the world's deadliest job just a little bit safer and more efficient. The horizon for the Alaskan snow crab fleet is shifting, shaped by forces both ancient and new. As the sun dips below the icy expanse, the vessels themselves become the protagonists in a story of adaptation and survival. Technology now pulses at the heart of every crab boat. Advanced sonar scans the ocean floor, mapping the hidden highways of the crabs below. Automated winches and robotic arms, guided by precision sensors, haul traps from the depths with mechanical efficiency, reducing the margin for error and maximizing every precious haul. Yet, the environment is in flux. The Bering Sea, once locked in winter's grip, now thaws earlier each year. Ocean currents, tracked by satellite and thermal imaging, swirl unpredictably, carrying nutrients and warmth to new places, and with them the elusive snow crab. Traps descend into the depths, monitored by underwater cameras that relay real-time footage to the bridge. The ocean floor, once teeming, now reveals stretches of emptiness, an ecosystem in delicate balance, its future uncertain. On digital dashboards, data streams in, population estimates, water temperatures, and catch quotas, all calculated by algorithms designed to protect the species for generations to come. Sustainability is no longer a choice, but a necessity. Solar panels and wind turbines hum quietly, powering navigation and refrigeration systems, while battery banks store energy for the long, cold nights at sea. Biodegradable crab pots, designed to break down if lost, and eco-friendly hull coatings are now standard, minimizing the fleet's footprint on the fragile marine world. The sea itself is divided by invisible boundaries, protected zones mapped by satellites where fishing is forbidden and the ecosystem is left to recover, a silent pact between technology and nature. Each journey is a calculated risk, with navigation systems steering clear of shifting icebergs and sudden storms, the boats moving like ghosts through the mist, guided by the cold logic of data and the relentless rhythm of the tides. On board, automated conveyors sort the catch with gentle precision, ensuring only mature crabs are kept, while juveniles and bycatch are returned unharmed to the sea. a promise of renewal for the future. The old ways linger in memory, rusted hulls and faded paint, reminders of a time when the sea seemed inexhaustible and the future was unwritten. Now, the fleet sails on, silent and vigilant beneath the northern lights, each vessel a testament to resilience and innovation, navigating a world where survival depends on harmony with the ocean's changing song. The future of the crab fleet is a story still unfolding, one of machines and nature, of adaptation and hope, as the boats vanish into the mist, chasing the promise of another dawn on the restless Bering Sea. Beneath the surface of the Bering Sea, every crab pot lowered and every trap retrieved sets off a chain reaction, an invisible ripple through the ecosystem. The snow crab, a keystone species, shapes the delicate balance of life on the ocean floor. When their numbers dwindle, predators search farther, prey populations shift, and the intricate web of marine existence is subtly rewoven. The impact of snow crab fishing is not confined to the catch alone. Lost pots, once left to haunt the depths, would become ghost traps, ensnaring marine life for years. Now, biodegradable designs dissolve over time, breaking the cycle, as if the sea itself is allowed to breathe again. Still, every harvest alters the fabric of the deep, stirring sediment, disturbing habitats and echoing through food chains. Regulations rise from data and necessity. Quotas, determined by scientists and enforced by satellites, draw invisible lines in the water, limits on numbers, sizes and seasons. Closed areas, marked only on digital maps, offer sanctuaries where the ocean can heal, untouched by steel and rope. Algorithms running silently in the background track every catch, ensuring that each season's yield leaves enough behind for the next. Sustainability is the new tide, guiding the fleet's every move. Eco-friendly hull coatings reduce the spread of invasive species. Solar panels and wind turbines hum, their energy a promise to tread lightly. Underwater cameras peer into the blue, releasing juvenile crabs and bycatch with gentle precision, a quiet vow to protect what cannot be seen. The Bering Sea remains a world in flux, shaped by both nature's whims and the careful stewardship of unseen hands. In this silent pact between the fleet and the wild, the hope for balance endures. Each ripple a reminder that every choice echoes through the depths, and that the future of the snow crab and the sea itself is a story we are all still writing. Beneath the relentless churn of Arctic winds, a quiet revolution is underway on the decks and in the depths. The modern crab fleet is transforming, driven by cutting-edge technology designed to make every haul safer, smarter, and more sustainable. Robotic arms now glide over icy decks, their precise movements orchestrated by advanced algorithms. These mechanical sentinels lift and sort crab pots with unwavering efficiency, reducing the chaos and danger once faced by manual handling. Sensors embedded within each pot monitor temperature, pressure, and movement, transmitting real-time data back to the ship's control center. Automated sorting systems, guided by underwater cameras and artificial intelligence, identify and release undersized crabs and bycatch instantly, minimizing waste and preserving fragile populations. On board, digital dashboards display intricate maps of the seafloor built from sonar and satellite data, helping vessels avoid sensitive habitats and optimize their routes. New safety features hum quietly in the background, anti-slip surfaces that change texture in response to ice-smart railings, that deploy automatically in rough seas, and self-sealing hatches that protect the vessel's vital systems from the elements. Even the pots themselves have evolved. Lightweight, biodegradable materials reduce the risk of ghost gear, while built-in acoustic signals allow lost traps to be tracked and retrieved with pinpoint accuracy. Solar arrays and wind turbines shimmer on the superstructure, powering everything from navigation to deck machinery. Every innovation serves a single purpose: to harvest the bounty of the Bering Sea with a lighter touch and a sharper mind. In this new era, Machines and data work in silent harmony, shaping the future of crab fishing, without a word or a footprint left behind. Beneath the frozen expanse of the Bering Sea, a hidden world pulses with life. Here begins the remarkable journey of the Alaskan snow crab, a story unfolding far from human eyes. It starts as a speck, an almost invisible lava adrift on the ocean currents. For months these tiny explorers float among the plankton, feeding and growing while evading hungry predators. As the seasons shift, the larvae molt, transforming through several stages until they resemble miniature crabs. Drawn by instinct and changing tides, they settle to the seafloor, seeking refuge among pebbles and patches of eelgrass. Here, the juvenile snow crabs find shelter from larger fish and other dangers. Over the next several years, they undertake a series of molts, shedding their shells and emerging larger each time. Each molt is a vulnerable chapter as their new exoskeletons harden in the chilly water. As they mature, the crabs migrate deeper, joining the cold, dark world of the continental shelf. Males and females take separate paths, males growing larger and venturing farther offshore, females seeking sandy patches for spawning. In the spring, the cycle comes full circle. Females carry thousands of fertilized eggs beneath their bodies, nurturing the next generation. When the time is right, the eggs hatch, releasing countless larvae into the currents, and the journey begins anew. Silent, resilient, and perfectly adapted, the Alaskan snow crab thrives in one of Earth's harshest environments, a testament to the enduring power of nature's design. Above the ice-choked waters, weather reigns as an invisible force, shaping every moment of snow crab fishing. In this realm, accurate forecasting is as essential as any net or trap. Satellites orbit far overhead, scanning cloud formations, wind patterns, and ocean currents. Their data streams downward, feeding into powerful computer models that predict storms, temperature shifts, and the movements of the sea. Onboard sensors quietly gather real-time information, measuring air pressure, humidity, and wave heights. Radar sweeps the horizon, tracing the approach of icy squalls. Digital charts and electronic maps layer wind forecasts over the fishing grounds, painting a living picture of the conditions to come. These forecasts guide every decision. When a low-pressure system looms, traps may be hauled earlier or set farther apart. Shifting winds and sudden drops in temperature can turn calm seas treacherous, and only precise predictions offer a chance to adapt. Even the timing of the catch, when to deploy or retrieve the gear, depends on the ever-changing moods of the sky. In the dance between ocean and atmosphere, weather forecasting stands as the silent guardian. It is the unseen compass that steers the crab fleet, ensuring that every journey into the icy deep is guided by knowledge as much as by courage.